Hello YouTube. This is my 1991 Honda Accord, and I was going to attempt to do a spark plug and cable change and also change the air filter. And I managed to change the air filter, but when I took out the wires I noticed that there was oil, and I don't know if you can see it there, but you can see when I touch it on my hand here that there was oil right there on the cable, and there really shouldn't be any oil at all. So I called my mechanic and I asked him about it, and he thought that this was a good project for me. I'm totally mechanically uninclined, so what I'm going to do, and what he suggested, was put in a new gasket, so a valve cover gasket. So I went to our local auto parts store and I got the valve cover gasket, I got the plugs, I got the wires, and I got the air filter. And I've already changed the air filter, and as you can see, the air filter is pretty bad. You can't even see it. Even though there's a little bit of light, you should still be able to see through it, but it's pretty bad. I bought this car in that condition, and I guess the previous owner never did any changes. So this is going to be my attempt to change the valve cover gasket and the spark plugs. And if I can do this, I can promise you anybody can do this. Okay, now, because there's oil leaking into the spark plugs, and we might, according to my mechanic, we might have to let the oil drain down into the cylinders. But in case there's some spillage, what I did is I put a piece of cardboard underneath just to make sure that there's no oil going to be dripping onto the concrete here, okay? So please keep in mind that I'm going to be doing this as an amateur, not as a professional. So if you're a professional and you're viewing this and you think I'm an idiot, thank you. But the truth is, I'm trying to save some money to do it myself. And plus, my mechanic that I spoke with and good friends with says that it's probably an easy job and I can probably do it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and remove all the spark plugs. So what I'm going to use is my breakaway tool. And it's something you probably don't need. You can probably do it with a ratchet, but mine are so easy to come out that I just put it in there and twist it, and then it should come out just fine, okay? So when it does, when it's done, I will be right back. Okay, so I got all the spark plugs out, and as you can see, they're in pretty bad shape as far as oil is concerned. There's lots of oil in there, and I'm glad we put that cardboard box underneath, because there is a lot of oil that dripped off the tubes. And I had problem with one of the spark plugs taking it out, because the actual part of the cable, this part here, actually came off and got stuck on the spark plug, and it came off of right here. And so no matter what I was doing, it wasn't coming out, and I couldn't figure out why until I realized it with I used a flashlight to look inside, and sure enough, there it was. So anyway, so I took off all those spark plugs. It was pretty easy, no problem other than having to deal with this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take out all these right here, 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 and here, over here on this side. And then I'm also going to remove these items right up here that's connected to here, this item right here, and if I forgot to mention, I'm also going to remove the ground wire there. Okay, so we'll see you in a few seconds. Okay guys, so I got almost everything off. The only thing I could not take off was this hose here. I removed the clip, but I couldn't pull the hose out. I removed that clip, couldn't pull the hose out. Again, I'm an amateur, so what I'm going to try to do is lift this up, the pan up right here, or the cover off without it, and try not to bend it in any way I can, and then maybe I can take it off that way. But we'll see, okay? Just want to let you know. Okay, as you can see, yeah, oil everywhere. Is it supposed to look like that? Beyond me. I'm going to assume not, but if it is, great. But I got it off. I left the hose on there. It was able to bend without any problem. So now you can see I got to replace those gaskets there as well. I've already took off those other gaskets that I got to replace. One of them fell on the floor, and there's the kit right there with the gasket right there. So now I just got to take off the gasket, and call me crazy, but it looks like there is no gasket on it, or it has disintegrated. One of the two. So I don't know whoever owned this car before me didn't take good care of it, or if it's possible that the gasket disintegrated all by itself, or I just got to go hunting for it. Anyway, stay tuned for in a little bit for how it looks with the gasket on. Okay guys, after further investigation, it is supposed to look like that, and the valve cover is actually seated inside these grooves right in there. So I called my mechanic just to make sure, because I didn't want to screw up, and sure enough, that's where the gasket is. So awesome. Like I said, this is an amateur video. Hope you're enjoying it, and we'll be back once I get the gasket off and then put the new one on and remove these as well. All 4 of these got to get removed and put the new ones on. Okay, so here is the old gasket. I pulled it right off. It just came right off. According to my mechanic, some people use a sealant, some people don't. It did not look, whoever put this one on, did not look like they used a sealant, because it came right off. So it was pretty easy. And as you can see, these valves, I already took this one off, and this one just comes right out as well. It's a little bit of a tug. They just come right out. Here's the other one, like this. And then the final one as well. So I will be right back. Okay guys, as you can see, I got 3 of those gaskets, or whatever they're called, put back in. And I didn't do the last one on purpose so that you could see the gasket itself has that little groove with this little lip right here. That gasket fits in the groove, and it's you kind of gotta have to egg it out, because it's kind of like an oval shape, and it just fits right in nice and snug. And then when you stick your hand in there, you'll feel that lip right next to the metal, and that's how you know you got it seated pretty good. Okay, and then the gasket, I'm just sealing it, making sure that everything's nice and easy on there. Move. And I went on ahead and cleaned a little bit the residue that was left over, and I also did a little bit of cleaning in there, not a whole lot, as you can see. And then I'm going to grab the gasket right here, and then I'm going to sit it in there, and then hopefully we'll start putting everything back together. Okay guys, as you can see, the gasket has been put in. The little gaskets for the spark plugs has also been put in, and the only thing you got to do is make sure that this part right here is on the right side, not on the wrong side, as you can see there, because it's got this little extra lip here, and that goes right there with that little corner piece, and it's kind of like your guide. And then as you're putting it on, just seat it, push it down, and that way there's little chance of it falling as you put it back on. So I'm just running my fingers through it, as you can see here, to make sure that it's all nice and seated, because I saw a little bit of a loop there that I didn't push right. So just proceed with that, and then flip it and put it on and start putting everything back together. So let's give that a shot and see how it goes. Okay fellas, as you can see right there, you can see the blue seal. I got it right back up. You can see the bolts are coming through the hole all right, all 4 of them. Actually, yeah, all 4 of them. That's the ground bolt there. So everything looks good so far. And now I'm going to start putting all the pieces back together with the new plugs. I didn't go with really expensive plugs. I just went with a $3-4 pair of plugs, and the wires as well. So anyway, here we go, and I'll put everything back together in just a few minutes. Okay guys, the next thing I want to show you is as I'm putting these back, I felt it important. These covers right here that sit on top of the, or underneath the bolts as washers, also come with gaskets, and they sit right in that hole around the screw. So as you put them in there, kind of push them in there a little bit, and it seats them in a little bit, and then as you're tightening the bolts, you'll be able to feel it seat. Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right guys, as you can see, almost everything is put back together now, except for obviously the spark plugs and the wires. And here's the ground wire right there. Make sure you don't trap it underneath like I did. I had to take it out apart just a little bit to pull it back out, but everything was fine. So just want to let you know that here's the spark plug. What I do is I just put it in there, and with this part I just cinch it in there, and then when you tighten it, don't over tighten it, because you can crack it. Again, remember, I'm an amateur, so I'm repeating everything my mechanic told me, so that if you're an amateur just like me, you don't run into those type of mistakes. So I got it finger tight. Then what I do is I'll put in my ratchet and turn it about 2 or 3 turns, and that way it is done right and it's not over tight. And next thing after I do this is I'm going to go ahead and put the plug wires on. But as you can see on this part here, everything is set in and ready to go. And now I'm just gonna do the wires and put the battery cable back on and
one
give it a
thing
shot.
I did forget to mention, guys, is that on the thread I am putting some anti-seize on there, so that way it doesn't right here on the threads right there, so that way it doesn't wind up having the chances of it seizing onto the metal of the car, of the engine. So anyway, I forgot to mention that part. Just want to let you all know.
Now it's time for the wires. And as you can see, I've already removed this one here. This is that short wire that's going to go right there. Now I'm going to just slowly put these on one at a time, so that way I put the right cable on the right area right here, because everyone is supposedly numbered. And I want to make sure I put the right one to the right one. So I'm going to do the wires individually all the way across, and then from the furthest away to the closest, and then I'll put all the clamps on to putting them all together. So anyway,
now,
here it goes.
These wires that I bought from that box come with this little goop stuff that can be put on top of the spark plug or inside the actual tube right in there. And since I've already put the spark plugs in there, I'm going to go ahead and put that stuff right here in just a little tube. You don't have to put a whole lot. According to the guys at the parts store, they were telling me just put a little bit there. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just put it right there inside that hole. And as I insert the spark into it, and as I insert this into the spark plugs, then that goop will apply to both. So anyway, alrighty, so I got all the cables lined up, and just to show you, I lined them all up, and it's really easy. I was expecting rocket science, but just like my mechanic friend said, it really isn't. So just unplug there, and then plug. It's just like a video game, plug and play, or computer. Just plug it in. Now you do have to make sure it seats right, okay? Just push it in nice and snug, and everything snaps into place. Just go ahead and keep it as snug. I mean, not keep it as snug, but push it in best you can. I know it's a little hard to see, unfocused there, but you see it all sitting there. And then I put the other part in here from that short cable. Don't know if you can see it right there like this. Goes in there, and the other end right up right here. And then all of these just pushed all the way in, and they seated real nice and simple and easy. Wasn't hard at all. So now I take the old cables out and toss them in the garbage can. I put the battery cable away, back on, the negative cable back on, because you got to take it off for safety reasons. But it looks like everything's set and done, ready to go. So I'm going to turn it on, and hopefully we have success. Okay, here it is, the moment of truth. Turn it on. We got power, and we have liftoff. Everything looks good. Hoping you can hear me over the sound of the engine. I'm looking down there, no oil leaking out, nothing squirting, nothing sounding too bad. Everything looking good. Well, if you liked what you saw, please feel free to like it and subscribe to it and all that other good stuff. But I want to give a shout out to my mechanic Jimmy. Man, thank you for your help. I appreciate it. And if I can do it, I know you can do it.